Chief, one of the most common terms used to name a leader. But could using it be considered cultural appropriation? Let's come to terms with the word chief and find out. Hello, I'm Joy with Unexpected Virtual Tours and Training, where we host radically creative DEI and team building events for remote and hybrid teams. Welcome back to Coming to Terms, where we trace the roots of the words and ideas that make up our world. Today we are exploring a question that's been on many people's minds. Is using the word chief considered appropriation of Native American culture? So let's look into the etymology, the cultural significance, and the evolving usage of this term together and find out. So let's start at the root of the word. The word chief comes into English from the French word chef, which itself is derived from the Latin word caput, or head. And throughout history, it's been used in various societies worldwide to denote a leader or a head of a group, organization, or community. Chief, of course, is often used to describe the leader of a tribal group, including indigenous and/or Native American tribes. However, this is not an indigenous word, but rather a title that European colonizers applied to the leaders of the peoples they encountered when they settled in North America. Native American tribes have always been culturally and linguistically diverse, so they used different words for their leaders. Consider the leader of the Wampanoag, who famously worked with the Mayflower Pilgrims, Massasoit. Massasoit was not actually his name, but rather his title, and it translates to Great Secum. Today, some leaders of tribal governments may still be called chiefs, but they may be called a chairman or woman, a president, or any of several other titles. Regardless, historically, those who served in the role of chief occupied places of tremendous importance and respect. Given this history, the title of chief can still be important to Native Americans. However, since the word itself doesn't emerge from indigenous cultures, it's hard to say merely using it constitutes cultural appropriation. The larger issue is rather that the term chief gets used disrespectfully. As a term, chief is often used to perpetuate stereotypes of Native Americans. For years, activists have been protesting the Kansas City Chiefs, calling for the football team and its fans to stop using the name, logo, chants, and apparel that appropriate indigenous cultures. These stereotypes, activists argue, make a mockery of Native Americans and dehumanize them, reducing them to caricatures. In other contexts, calling someone chief is often done in a sarcastic or a derogatory way, which can call up histories of racism and oppression. The word has been used as a slur against Native Americans and Native leaders. Even if used lightheartedly, using the word can nevertheless perpetuate stereotypes. But what might this mean for your CEO, your COO, or your CBO? Can you or your company use the word chief? In general, as long as you're not using it as a pejorative or slur, then most would not consider this to be disrespectful or cultural appropriation. However, in recent years, some companies have been moving away from the term. For example, some have started referring to their chief executive officer as head of strategy. Others have started replacing chief with executive or lead. So if your company would like to pursue alternate titles, there are options available. As you reflect on your company's language use, remember that it's important to have open dialogues with individuals and communities who may be affected by your use of certain terms, including your current colleagues, but also your clients, potential clients, and even your interns. Changing your terminology might be one way to signal your company values to potential new hires, which may help you to recruit a more diverse talent pool. So listen to their perspectives. Striking the right balance between respecting cultural significance and free expression can be challenging. It's not about limiting language, but ultimately about being mindful of the context for how we use it and the impact of our words on others. So that's all our time for this edition of Coming to Terms, but we'd love to keep the conversation going in the comments. And while you're there, be sure to follow the links to some additional resources that we've included, as well as links to our awesome live virtual DEI training and team building events. Thanks so much for joining us today. Let's continue to raise awareness about these important topics and build a more inclusive and respectful world. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay in touch.